It's Wednesday, November 4th, and we're here in the city of St. John. And groups and landowners are calling for the city of St. John to hold public meetings, and health and safety issues are being ignored by the Energy East pipeline proponents. To address that, we're sending a letter to the city of St. John to take a leadership role in safety and emergency planning for the proposed Energy East pipeline. As we are facing serious public health and safety issues, such as fire response, mass evacuation plans, and spill cleanup response, this planning must include public meetings that will engage the community, meetings that would be the basis of good planning. Decision makers in the city of St. John have a duty of care to protect the health and safety of their residents. And we've seen across Canada, in Vancouver, in Burnaby, in Winnipeg, in municipal regional councils in Quebec. They have already conducted studies and public meetings on the health and safety of the proposed tar sands pipeline in their communities. So we cannot overstate the importance of local and government involvement in the safety and emergency planning. It's much too critical to be left up to the proponents of the project. And while not exhaustive, we want to start raising the following questions which we've included in the letter for the city of St. John to start engaging its firefighters, its other first responders, the hospitals, and spill response teams. All of them have to be engaged to determine whether or not we can move forward with this project here in St. John, here in the community of Redhead. And just to illustrate, the proposed location of the 18-tank farm and marine terminal, is that too close to the residential community of Redhead? Will this put firefighters and residents at greater risk in harm's way? Certainly in Burnaby, British Columbia, they found that tar sands tank farm expansion was not recommended for the residential community of Burnaby. And we should have serious considerations about the location here in Redhead. We need to have the city answer and start addressing questions of mass evacuation of Redhead and the community of St. John in general. If there is a spill, this is tar sands bitumen. It has special characteristics not seen with conventional crude oil, and because of its huge percentage of volatile chemicals, people can be overcome with paralytic chemicals that are contained in these petroleum solvents, and it really makes rescue and containment of this spill critical. People's lives will be at risk. The entire community of Redhead and St. John would likely have to be evacuated if there is a spill in the harbor. So all of these issues are extremely serious. So far, most of these questions remain unanswered, and they're the cause of much distress in the communities that surround the proposed pipeline and terminal, and by community groups represented at this table here in St. John and in New Brunswick. We are sincerely hoping that our representatives of the City of St. John will rise to the occasion and take it upon themselves to respond to our concerns. Thank you. Colin, do you want to say a few words?
Thank you. As an affected landowner, I live just east of the city, and the pipeline is proposed to cross a piece of property I own. And the company in the early going ignored me because they thought I was somebody else. In the 11th hour, they finally realized they had to come and talk to me. And then it was simply a matter of them giving me their standard contracts to sign, and life would be good. My concern is that they offer no fair compensation for the right to use my property. And since the project has been delayed, not had any contact with TransCanada for the past 12 or 15 months now as to what's going on, although I read in the paper that they're doing lots of other activities, such as boreholes in the Anthony Cove area. They're looking at a number of issues that they're going to have to address for the NEB. So I'm questioning how much delayed this project really is. Anyways, I've been denied twice to attend their so-called community communications liaison committee. As an affected landowner, I find that very strange that they don't want to talk to the landowner. However, that's what we're faced with. And following up on Mark's point about the emergency response ability of the community, I fully endorse the city taking an interest in this more so than what they've done. It appears to me that there's little or no coordination between the emergency agencies such as the police, fire, ambulance, emergency response, etc., that would be able to rally in any kind of meaningful way should an event occur. And I'd like to see some community plan put together that addresses these issues. Thank you.
I'm Joel Butler with the St. John chapter of the Council of Canadians, and just briefly, our concerns are around the model being used for the proponent to put out their safety plans. It's a trade show model which has been developed by public relations professionals. It's basically a sales campaign as opposed to one that is related to regulations set by those who are officially responsible for our health and safety in St. John, the City of St. John, St. John's Council, and other elected officials. So that's why we're pushing for and supporting this letter to the city, asking them to ask the appropriate questions, to start pushing the proponent, TransCanada, to disclose their plans, and for the city to put forth requirements to make sure that TransCanada is required to meet at least basic, if not exemplary, high quality standards for the safety and health of residents in Redhead and Anthony's Cove, and for the rest of the city, because we know that the scale of oil, of bitumen storage and flow through the city is going to be beyond anything that we've seen in this country. It's time for the city to step up, to start doing their job and fulfill their duty to care for the people who elected them.
Dave?
Well, after being involved in watching this situation for more than a year now, it seems that things are not going well for the community and residents of the community. Things have to change. There has to be things done which aren't being done, and what that means is to hold public meetings, town hall meetings, not one-on-one situations and open houses where an individual talks to someone at a kiosk and receives some information, but we need real town hall meetings here in this community. And it's about time that happened. I mean, it happens elsewhere in North America. It seems that we're sort of in a ghetto of industrialization in the way it goes ahead in St. John, New Brunswick here, and that must change. I think, too, that the city, certainly needs to do more. It certainly has to demand that kind of thing from the proponent of the project, and the city itself needs to get on with doing, studies, full-scale studies on the safety, in case an accident happens or a fire situation, an explosion, a leak into the water. And this can't be left to the pipeline company, just with a review of their report by the city at the time of the National Energy Board hearings. The city has to get out and hold meetings, discussions with communities, particularly in the Anthony's Cove, Redhead area, where the export terminal, marine terminal for the project is scheduled to be built. There are issues there which only people in the community know about that involve weather, limited roads in the area, the ability for emergency equipment from the city or from elsewhere to get there if a situation, requiring it were to occur in the future. And this cannot happen without public dialogue with those local communities in the Redhead, Anthony's Cove area. I might also add that the pipeline company has set up a community liaison committee, which they selected the members for, and which they completely control. There are several other industries in and around St. John who also have these kind of community liaison committees, but they're mostly operating in an open climate where people can become members of the committee by requesting to do so and be voted into the committee by other members currently on the committee. That doesn't happen with TransCanada. They're controlling the membership. There are a number of people who have experience on these other committees in the community and know a lot about the areas that the pipeline's going through. Some of these people have applied for membership several times on this committee, but are constantly rejected by the pipeline company. Of even more concern are that these community liaison meetings, which the company seems to be holding every few months, are closed meetings. Observers are not allowed to attend them, which is also different than other industrial liaison committees elsewhere and in the community. I point to the Canaport LNG Community Liaison Committee, which is an industry that's going to be right physically nearby this bitumen export terminal and pipeline if it goes ahead. And they welcome observers on the committee. I'm on that committee as a member, and every meeting we have, there are observers. And the situation has to be like that. I mean, common council meetings in this city, the public can come to them and sit down and listen to what's happening and see what business is being carried on. But not so with the pipeline committee meetings, and people who have attempted to go there have been accosted by a security guard at the door and told that they could not go in. At the last meeting the company held, 9 community members wanted to go in and sit down and just observe what was being discussed so they could tell others and in their neighborhoods about what was being talked about, and they were denied entrance to the meeting as observers with no good reason for the denial after being told that the other community liaison meetings in St. John by other industries were allowing observers in. Anyway, this is the kind of thing that's been happening, and unless this climate changes in St. John regarding liaison with the communities and public meetings where the communities can come and hear the concerns of their neighbors, express their own concerns, and everyone can understand and hear what's going on, things aren't going to progress very well for the health, well-being, and future safety in the community and the residents who are living here. I think, a major change needs to occur, and we need both the city and the pipeline company to come on board in a climate of openness.
Thank you, Dave. Leanne?
I'm Leanne Sutton, the chair of Redhead Anthony's Cove Preservation Association. Our concerns are not being answered by TransCanada. As Dave and others have stated, we have been told we can go to these liaison meetings and are accosted at the door. We need the city to get serious about the transparency, or the non-transparency, I should say, of the proponent, and take matters into their hands so that the proponent would have no choice but to let us know what's going on. Nobody knows the plans as to exactly where the pipeline is going to go, exactly how many tanks we're going to have at the tank farm. None of that. And they're not even very open and honest with the city themselves. So right now we're asking that the mayor and council put into place some studies to show us or prove to us that we're going to be safe out there if this goes through, and we're not going to be put at additional risk, nor are our first responders, firemen, or police officers going to be put at risk. Their open houses do not allow us to ask any questions at all. They speak, and that's all it is. You're not allowed to ask questions of them, apparently. If we were to have a spill out in Redhead, Anthony's Cove, Anthony's Cove is one road. There's no way out for those people. And that would go into the Bay of Fundy, with over 60% of it staying in the Bay of Fundy, because they wouldn't be able to take it up from the bottom of the bay, which Bateman would do with sink. So, yeah, we need the city to step up their game immediately.
So we will be sending this open letter to the city of St. John later on today, and we look forward to the city taking a leadership role in the Energy East pipeline safety and emergency planning preparedness. This is what's done in cities across Canada with similar tar sands pipelines. And I just want to conclude that TransCanada, from what you've heard today and from what's been experienced in other communities, they have certainly not gained the trust of people in New Brunswick. They prefer to keep people and communities isolated and uninformed about the details of their projects. And many affected communities in New Brunswick, ones that I've been to personally, they don't even know the route of the tar sands pipeline through their community, and that it is proposed to run beside their rivers and bays. And just to highlight the severity of this type of project, I just want to conclude by reading you the conclusion of 4 studies, all conducted by municipalities. 1, a bitumen spill on the ocean would leave more than 50% of the volume of oil in the water due to viscosity, sinking, and submergence of the tar. That one went to the Ministry of Environment in British Columbia. Energy East pipeline leaks as large as 2.6 million liters per day for a period of up to 2 weeks could go undetected. This one was done in Quebec this year. Benzene gas from a tank tar sands bitumen spill near Vancouver could endanger 1 million people and require hospitalization of 31,000. And finally, that was done for the metro city of Vancouver. And finally, the proposed expansion of the Trans Mountain tank farm in a residential neighborhood is not recommended based on life-threatening risks to firefighters and residents. The potential for a tank fire boilover with a fire lasting 4 days and an emergency response on a provincial scale. That report was by the Deputy Fire Chief of Burnaby for the City of Burnaby, May of this year. So we hope that the City of St. John responds to this, takes our concerns seriously, and engages these studies immediately with all of the necessary first responders and hospital staff. Thank you.